Another type of tragedy is romantic tragedy, and romantic tragedy, classical tragedy was based on Aristotelian concept. On the contrary, the romantic tragedy is always based on Shakespearean tragedy. When we say romantic tragedy, we always recall the Shakespearean tragedy. So now what is romantic tragedy, or what are Shakespearean romantic tragedies? Shakespeare, because he never follows Aristotle, he said that a tragedy should follow the three unities of time, place and action. But William Shakespeare, he never liked to follow these kinds of unities. So the romantic tragedy never observe the three unities of unity of time, unity of place and unity of action, right? But it happens in the classical tragedy. Another point of the romantic tragedy is that there we don't find any kind of chorus, means there is no chorus in a romantic tragedy, while we always find a chorus in a classical tragedy to give us information, to tell us what was going on. So in romantic tragedy there is no chorus. Another thing is that Aristotle was completely against of the mingling, the mixture of both tragic and comic elements. And now in the romantic tragedy we find there is always a blend of both, blend of joys and sorrows, laughter and tears, tragic and comic elements. So that is romantic tragedy. Now in a classical tragedy, the hero is not an ordinary person, but in a romantic tragedy we find that the hero may be an ordinary one. Okay, it is not necessary that the hero must be either a king or a prince. So he may be an ordinary one. And the main important point, the last point, is that in the romantic tragedy there is always a role of chance. Role of chance in Shakespearean tragedy, in other writers romantic tragedy also we find that there is a role of chance. So all these were important points related to the romantic tragedy. In short, you can write very well in the exam. And if you have gone through another video of the classical tragedy, then you can differentiate also that what is the difference between classical tragedy and romantic tragedy. So in brief, there you can write the few points of classical tragedy. On the other hand, you can write the points of romantic tragedy, and then you can make a difference between both. So that was your romantic tragedy and a comparison with classical tragedy.